You'll hardly notice. Now, you have to tell me your name first.
Oh, I haven't got one.
What do you call her? Well, what's her name?
What's name? What do you want? My name now, or the name
Yes,
as it
yeah,
was? It's MacDonald now.
MacDonald now. So
Yeah.
what were you born as then?
Brown.
Yeah.
Hush. Yeah, deadly hush.
So we have sort of now. And what's actually your earliest memories of the village?
Being with my grandmother on Town Hill, where she did all her washing, and we used to have a beach hut up there, and my grandfather was a bit of a stickler for doing as you were told, and he's tied my sister and I to a clothes post with a piece of cotton, which we dare not break, because he could run faster than both of us.
So how did you had a beach hut, but it was not on the beach?
Oh, no, it was up in the garden. An upturned boat we had as well in the garden, cut in half.
How come you got an upturned boat?
Well, we had a boat, it was cut in half and stood in two places.
So does it mean your grandfather had been a fisherman then, or?
I don't know, really. I don't really know very much about the background of my family, to be honest.
Actually, you better tell me what your Christian name is first as well.
Monica.
Monica Brown, right. We can look it up in the census records, or somebody will do in the future. You see,
Oh, rotten.
So
I think that was sort of my earliest memories. But when I was just about 3, I had polio. And from then on, I lived with my aunt. My mother had just had another baby, and I lived with my aunt and uncle in Garden Cottage. And I lived with them then till I was 17. Never adopted, but I just lived with them till I was 17.
And you had lots of operations, didn't you?
Oh, well.
Well, I was going to say, what was the treatment for polio then?
Well, they tried to straighten things out and sort things out, so they cut little bits here and little bits there, stuck bits in and took bits out. And they've done that really all through my life, It's done lots of things. I can still use it.
Yeah. Did you have to go to Norwich for that?
Yes, we had to go to Norwich, yes. Yes, we used to have a nursing thing, I forget what it was called now, something you paid into each week to cover hospital and things like that. Eh? That's right, yeah.
It wouldn't have been a friendly society.
No, Hospital Contributors Association. You paid tuppence a week.
So that paid for the...
That paid for the car to go up and everything. It was really good.
Yeah.
But it was a long time off school and...
Yeah. So where did you go to school?
In the village.
So where was the school?
Just up the road, where it is now, where the school is now. Except where the church is was the infant room, where the infants were. And we had a whale of a time in there. They used to put us to bed in the afternoon. They had little low beds. We had to... Yeah, we had to rest in the afternoon.
Well, funnily enough, when my 2 daughters used to have to go to the creche up at the university in Norwich, they used to do that. I mean, that was 20 years ago. They still have a few places that used to make them do that. Who was the head teacher there?
I think Boyce was there when I first went to school, but when I left it was Chesney. And of the two, I know which I like best. Barrington Boyce, yeah, Barrington Boyce, yeah.
You can't lie to anybody who's dead, so you're all right. You can say whatever you like.
Arthur Gladstone, wasn't that? Arthur Gladstone Chesney.
That's right.
Well, Barrington Boyce, did he do a Cromer?
Barrington came here in 1921, I think, when O'Billy Cole retired. And he did so very well here in East London that he got the headship of Cromer Boys School, which he went to in 32, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he He was up with the same.
Oh, yes, well,
Yeah, later when I was
Yes,
there.
yes, he became the first when that school up Norwich Road, which was built before the war but was never opened before the war, was opened.
Yeah. Now,
And Ronnie was in the guides. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
well, I was going to say, just sticking with the school for a moment, what was an average day like at school? What sort of things did you do at school? What sort of things stand out? You know, apart from going away at the time, which is...
Well, the normal things really, I suppose. We had prayers and started usually with arithmetic, and we had a break, English, a lunch break. Sometimes we had games, we had PE, mostly outside. And after school thing was country dancing, and we made bamboo pipes. We had a pipe band up there. I think school was interesting.
How long did you go to another school? Or were you all
No, we just stayed at this one till we were 14, and then you were finished school, then you go to work.
Tell us about work. Where did you go to work then?
I didn't do anything. I was spoilt. I didn't really do anything. Just sort of helped around, really. Didn't do a lot. I was one of the idle rich.
Looked after me.
Oh, did I?
You did. You looked after
Well, they were
me.
just things that happened along the way, you know.
So what sort of years were you at school?
I went when I was 5 and finished when I was 14.
Yeah, what year, I'm trying to ask this very delicately.
How old was she?
How old were you when you were 5?
Just about there. Yeah, just about 5 then.
So was this 1930s then? Was it?
What would it be? Well, knock it off from where I am now, 84. Go on.
Right.
You can do the maths.
Right.
I'm rested.
Well, my mother is. That's a quick calculation. And then you lived in Runton, for instance, all the way through.
I lived in Runton till I was 17,
Yeah.
and then with the war and different things, I went away to Welwyn Garden City.
Oh, now how did you come to go to Welwyn Garden City from East Runton?
I was sort of sent there to Murphy Radio.
So did you actually have some sort of call-up papers then? Or,
Well, yes, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I couldn't go in the forces, could I?
No, I understand.
Not with a leg, I would throw at everybody. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Now, in the 1930s, I mean, what was the sort of main occupations in the village then? What were most people doing?
working in shops or doing domestic work.
Was there much fishing then from the village?
Well, it was fishing, yeah, but it didn't involve me very much because I don't like wet fish.
Well, there we go. You don't like wet fish, you didn't.
I keep away from it. Oh.
So who were the shopkeepers in town then?
Mr. Paxley in the bottom shop.
Oh, Monday.
Mundy, yes,
So
Mundy.
was he related to the Cromer Mundy then? Was he?
I don't. I think they were.
Family, but not.
Yeah.
It was the same family, was it?
Yes.
Same family, but I don't know how close they are.
I think they were cousins, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mundys here were quite a big family.
Salvation Army, weren't
Yeah, so where was the butcher up here? Wilmot, yeah. And I think Hardesty had a greengrocer's shop.
Who was that?
Victor Hardesty had a greengrocer's shop just across the road.
The kit bag.
Oh, Scotter.
Yeah, there was another butcher's shop, a pub butcher's shop.
Yes, Armall.
Yeah, Manhold, yeah.
Manhold.
Manhold down
Yeah, there
there.
was a co-op, wasn't there? Co-op
Was it
shop.
co-op?
Yeah, we had a co-op,
Monday's
yes.
shop, there was a co-op shop.
Yeah.
That closed with the war and never reopened.
No, that was only during the war, because I remember the fellow delivering us some groceries, and there was a bomber come over and dropped the bombs that landed up near what was a brickyard.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And Martin, he said, get them kids inside. And
Well, hang on, just hang on a minute.
Oh,
You relax now, because we're going to pass the microphone over now.
They help you handle.
Where's it just clipped on?
Yeah, that's just clicked on there. That's all right, because we'll pick up from you now, and then we'll come to that. Now, what we're going to need to do is put it round about here. There you go.
Mind you, don't get that hung up on your feet, Marnie.
Can you just do the introduction? Bit? Give us your name just for the
Oh, me, yes. Right. Hazel Kemp.
Right. And were you born Hazel Kemp?
Yeah, no, Hazel Love.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Say no more. Say no more.
Yeah. And once you get right back to the beginning then, what can you...
Well, I was born in Apple Tree Cottage up here, and so were my two brothers. So we definitely... But yes, I went to Runton School, right, but I'm younger. And happy times, weren't there? And I loved when we had lessons outside under the big tree. And also when poor Mr. Chesney come in with a bad back, and we used to think, oh, good, we'll be able to go home. he'll go home, we can go home. Yeah, we used to do sewing, didn't we? Everything there. Yeah, dancing. Mr. Chesney used to like dancing. Didn't he? Yeah, move it, yeah.
His fiddle, yeah.
Mr. Chesney was a fiddle player himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he- all right.
But we had Mrs. Smith from Roughton, didn't we, as a teacher? Miss Pipkin, wasn't it? Who was in the infant room when I... Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Mr. Chesney came and took me by the hand and took me to school on my first day.
Came to the house.
Yeah, well, that was only 2 or 3 yards down the road, but he came and took my hand, took me to school. Perhaps I wouldn't have gone. He made sure I went. But yeah, and
So what sort of period was that in that you started school?
1940. I was born 1935, and I'd gone when I was 5. But my father, he rented land, didn't he, John? And he had a coal business, and he had the first dust cart before Erpning District Council ever had one. And that was horse-drawn way back. I don't remember the then horse-drawn, yeah. And we used to go around East and West Runton.
Yes, he was the parish scavenger.
Yeah, that's
employed
right.
by the council.
Yeah.
So that was the question I was going to ask. He was actually
Yes.
employed by the council, but
Yeah.
he owned the dust cart himself.
Yes, yeah.
Used to take it up near Woodhill Carriage.
Yes, and dump it up there, yeah, dump all that, yeah.
There's the dump is up there. When that goes down the cliff,
There's
there's
big-
quite a lot of bottles.
Yeah,
up there.
bottles and tins, yes. Yeah.
And the roads you get that far, there's all sorts of rubbish.
Yeah.
How big was the school when you were there?
When it was fully used, the infant room and 2 classrooms, one that was divided, that had a sliding door sort of thing. Yeah, and we had a lovely...
And then there was, where Mrs. Smith used to teach.
Yeah, that's right. And we had a lovely kitchen, and we had lovely meals, didn't we? What Ruth had... No, Alice had, and...
Not in our
Yeah.
house, you were younger than that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were lovely.
Young Miss West.
And
No, they were lovely.
Oliver
weren't
Daniels.
they? On the Daniels, yeah.
Used to cook, yes.
But my father, he had a cool business as well. And then he rented up on the cliff top, that's where we had pigs, next to Tony Green's father, who had all the crab boats and that. But we had the lorry up there, and we had horses, and we had pigs. And then we had the Poigle Fair, what Richard Davis had got now, where next to the fair and that there. And we had that. And my father, that's where he had tents first come on there. But he wasn't allowed to have caravans because that was the wrong side of the road. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you see. So he never did have any caravans.
Where did that law come from then?
Oh, council, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
There's a heard of it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
No,
come down
yeah.
on the side of the road. don't they?
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, and
Encourage development of this side route, not on the
yeah, which seemed unfair, didn't it? But there we are. But yes, and we used to go around East and West Fronton with the dust cart and the coal cart. And Mr. Podmore had a little shop up on the Holt Road, didn't he?
Yeah,
Just for the
Irish,
cemetery.
yeah.
Yeah. And we stopped there for crisps and a bottle of pop and then go on our way. I think I heard all this.
So if you'd listened to your father,
Pardon?
so if you'd asked your father, he'd have complained, would he, that he couldn't have a carry
Yes,
on?
oh yes, yeah.
So there was a bit of friction.
Well, no, everyone got on all right, but you just couldn't understand why. You're the wrong side of the road, you know. And when you look round now, there's caravans everywhere. You just look up and they're all around, aren't they? Because that's a long while ago and that. But then we had the fields up over the Mill Lane, up over the railway line. And we used to grow like the corn and sugar beet. And we'd have the German prisoners of war come and help. And then Gwenny Saul got engaged to one of the German prisoners of war. That's another story. Yeah, but I mean, didn't she? Yeah. And she worked down in the grocery shop, and Billy used to come and meet her, so she didn't meet the German. He used to take her home. Yeah.
Tony used to come after her.
Pardon?
Tony.
Who?
Tony.
Oh yeah, but I know. Instead of going back to Germany, Ernest, he went and worked at Beck's at Thorpe Market. And we used to take Gwenny over there, and I sometimes say, well, how did we get there? We must have gone on the back of the lorry, mustn't we? You see?
Where were the German prisoners of war being
Matless way, wasn't it? Matless, yeah. Yeah, but my mother got friendly with a couple of them, and she used to have them down for supper, and that's how Gwenny Saul lived in the next yard, and we all sort of brought up together, weren't we, Marnie? And that's how she got in with Ernest, and they got engaged and everything, but they wouldn't have it, would they? No.
Oh, Jack put his foot down with a firm hand.
We see him the next day with a gun. We thought he's coming to shoot us. My mother, so we ran his head up. Oh dear.
where was that?
Wait, up here in the village, up here.
Who did you see with the gun?
Mr. Saul, well, we called him Uncle Jack. But you see, he wouldn't allow his daughter to be with a German. We were having a lovely Christmas tea, everything. Gwenny was there. And he came to the door and he wanted to know, was she there? And my father said yes. And he wanted her to go home because she wasn't having a tea with a German, you see. So they would all let that spoil everything. And then the next day, my mother seen with the gun, you see, and she thought he's going to shoot us. And we ran into Mrs. King's, can you imagine? Oh, oh dear.
Mrs. King.
Yeah.
Mrs. King.
I know. Oh dear.
The thing with that woman was, she used to keep her washing water from week to
Her
week.
copper, yeah, her copper water, yeah.
Reheated. Because her washing was grey.
And she hung it out on the allotments opposite, didn't she? She had the... Oh dear.
Valentine, we get the whole person back at
Oh dear. But, I say, going back, we had a little bakers up the back of the butchers, didn't we? We used to go round before school and get lovely rolls and cakes.
Mr. Patrick.
Bit too noisy, you know.
Yeah, that was Mr. Patrick and Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Seagull, that's right.
That's another place we never mentioned. Bakery, wasn't it?
What?
Another place we never mentioned.
Yeah,
the
forgot.
bakery, yeah.
You just need to pick up on that a bit. Just tell me about the butchers again.
Behind where the butchers is now was the bakers. Mr. Patrick and Mr. Seagull, and they used to do lovely cakes and bread, and we before school, because we could go and run the back way, and come and get your rolls before you know, for your breakfast before we went to school. Beautiful, yeah. Yeah, happy days. Oh, dear.
Do you remember? I mean, when you were a youngster, did you Was the house fully equipped? Did you have electricity and water in there?
I remember electricity being laid, but I couldn't tell you when. I can see the cable coming down the stairs, but I don't know. No, we had oil lamps and things to start with, didn't we? Well, Marnie used to look after me when I was little quite a bit, so she remembered lots of things.
But you didn't have water laid on much, did you, in that?
That was out. That was just outside, because Marnie and them, or your parents, from up the hill used to come down to get water, didn't they, from ours?
Yeah.
You had a tap right?
Yeah, we had a tap. My granddad used to go outside in the mornings and have a swill, cold water. That's what he called it.
Oh,
Always washed in cold
Jumbo.
water, yeah.
Jumbo, yeah.
Yeah, and that was only 2 bedrooms. I had my granddad, mum and dad, and there was us 3. We used to have 3 in a bed downstairs.
Cocktail.
Yeah, well, that's how it was, wasn't it?
I'm
Yeah.
afraid it was, 'cause
Yeah.
I remember it.
Yeah, that's right. That's how we progressed now, yeah.
Yes.
But I remember 1947 with the snow and all that. And because we had to get up onto the cliff there to get to the pigs and things, and we had to go up Mill Lane to get to the heifers and that what up there in a shed. Yeah.
When did it start snowing that year?
All I remember.
Before?
That was quite late in the year.
No,
wasn't
it was
February.
before.
February time, wasn't
No, it was before January because my husband's father died that year,
Yeah.
and they buried him just before the snow came down, and that was in the January.
So that was February then.
I thought it was still as they'd been put there. That was at Clay Church. Not
But that was so deep, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, the really heavy snow came in February and into March.
Yes, it did. That lasted a long
It
while.
was still lying around. It was still lying around at the end of March.
Yeah, we had
They
to.
dug out from
Yeah.
like the hill there
Yeah.
to the
And,
caravan
oh, yeah.
to the.
And my father was an ARP warden.
Then they turned around and they couldn't get back, so they had to dig it out.
What I think of it.
That's what they were just picking up on that. So your father was
An ARP warden with,
My father.
yeah, but
Archie was as well, wasn't he?
yeah, but who was it in Dalkeith, Mr.
Lubbock.
Lubbock? Yeah, with Mr. Lubbock.
Yeah.
And I remember we used to have ducks and that on the pond, and used to have coops outside on the common, didn't we, with chickens, and we had the ducks on the pond. And Mr. Lubbock came up one night to say that he'd see, some soldiers had been sitting out round there, and he'd gone out to see what the noise was, and the ducks had been strangled. And he'd come up to tell us, and of course we were young, we all cried, we were upset.
So what was that thing you had?
They'd strangled the ducks.
What to eat? Or
Yeah, I don't know what they'd done. I remember just, you remember that's what they'd
Round
done.
the neck.
Yeah, it's round the neck, yeah. And he had Bruno, didn't you? Big dog, Mr. Lubbock, massive dog. Yeah, Bruno, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just so I just want to take on something you said earlier. So your father was running the small log thing,
Yeah. Cool. And
coal.
dust.
Just tell me about how the coal worked.
Well, he used to get it from, like, Moyes or who it was before that, at Cromer. You could buy it from there. Yeah, beach, yeah, that's right. And a granary there was a granary at Cromer at the old beach station,
yeah.
and you used to get the coal and everything.
So your father, so this is because he had a car.
A lorry, yeah, Morris Commercial, NG8838. Now, why do I remember that? Oh dear,
So
yeah.
So who was the wholesaler of the coal again?
Well, I think there was someone before Moyes. That sound too recent, don't it, John?
I don't know. I think
Moyes.
Moy's been around a long time.
Oh,
I mean,
Moyes then.
you remember the coal yard and that at the beach
Yes,
station?
Mm.
Yeah.
So how often?
And
would he-
only knew.
How often would he get? Do you know how often he'd go over there?
Well, I mean, because we did East and West Runton delivering for coal, and Mr. Leake, didn't he, Herbert Leake?
Herbert,
Yeah,
yeah.
Herbert Leake. He had a coal business as well.
He had no
Yeah.
red lorry, did he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bridget has died lately.
Have she?
Yes,
Oh,
Nigel told me.
Oh, Bridget. Yeah.
She?
Yeah.
Yes,
He calls it-
Nigel told me yesterday.
So, yeah, very, I think, interesting childhood. But then my father, he got, I think he sold a bit. Oh, and the lorry, he had a B licence where he could move people's furniture. And he used to, he moved, he moved Mayor or Leslie Love from Almaton to Elm Cottages. And Nancy, we used to be on the back of the lorry, so you're not allowed to do that now, are you? Come from Almaton on the back moving furniture, yeah. Yeah.
So the same lorry.
Yes, did everything, yes. You washed it.
And he had a tarpaulin that he used to put over the dust in windy weather.
Yeah. John, no, don't you, John? We used to call it.
I know John knows.
Yeah, but listen, well, on our rounds, we used to call it John's, Mum and Dad, didn't we? Always had a drink there,
Yes,
and Betty Payne's and Charlotte Bell's. They were our stopping points.
Oh, Charlotte,
Yes.
Now, do you remember your grandfather as well?
Yes, my granddad, yeah.
Tell me about your grandfather as well.
Well, Marnie knows, but I don't know, he was white-haired, went in a bed.
Called him Jumbo.
And I don't know, I just remember him. And I remember him giving me money for ice cream, and Mr. Mundy made lovely ice cream, didn't he? Yes.
Mr. Mundy made the ice cream.
Yeah, Mr. Mundy made lovely ice cream. Yeah. Yeah. And when the sweets came off ration, I remember all that.
That Molly Beason,
Yeah.
she went into Mondays. Can I have 6 penny worth of hamburgers?
Oh, yeah.
What was grandfather's business?
I think he did the same sort of thing, yeah.
And of course, grandmother had died years before.
Yeah, I
hadn't
never
she?
knew my grandmother,
No.
yeah. But my what I knew of him, he was all right. But
They did call him Jumbo, didn't
yeah,
they?
Jumbo.
He was Jumbo, yes.
Because we had
And that's my nickname, David
and
called me Jumbo.
my father had one of his dogs, and that was called Jumbo.
Oh, yeah. And the fishermen used to meet on the seat down there, didn't they? And outside Littlecote. And I used to craze them for a piece of old tarred rope for a skipping rope. Oh, dear, I remember all that.
Right, let's.
Yeah.
Would you
Thank
like
you.
to pass the mic over to
To John,
John
come on,
now?
John. He's a mind of information.
Yeah.
I'm going to put money.
Change over your feet,
No,
or
it's
the-
not there.